Taylor Wright and her best friend were, by all appearances, inseparable. From the moment they met, it seemed like fate had intertwined their lives. They shared secrets, dreams, and a bond that many would describe as rare and enviable. Their friendship was the kind people wrote about in stories, the kind that made outsiders marvel and friends feel inspired by the loyalty and closeness they displayed. From their earliest days together, Taylor and her friend seemed to complete each other. They would spend hours on end talking about everything: school, family, crushes, fears, and hopes for the future. Every laughter-filled moment and every tearful confession created a deep sense of trust that felt unshakable. To anyone watching, it was clear that they were more than friends, they were family by choice. Their connection was visible in every aspect of their lives. They celebrated birthdays together, shared holidays, and marked milestones side by side. They were partners in crime for minor adventures, from sneaking into movies to late-night drives filled with music, laughter, and the kind of conversations that go on until the early hours of the morning. People often said they could finish each other's sentences, predict each other's moods, and sense each other's emotions without words. Taylor's family admired the friendship, seeing it as a source of happiness and stability for their daughter. They welcomed her friend into their home, trusting her implicitly, believing that she had Taylor's best interests at heart. Teachers, neighbors, and classmates all noted how strong the bond appeared, praising the loyalty and unwavering support the two shared. In many ways, it seemed like a perfect friendship, untouched by conflict or betrayal. But beneath the laughter, behind the shared secrets and late-night texts, there were subtle signs that something darker was brewing. Perhaps only time would reveal it, or maybe the signs were there all along, unnoticed by Taylor because she trusted her friend implicitly. Trust can be a dangerous thing when placed in the wrong hands. Taylor never imagined that the person she considered her closest ally could harbor feelings of jealousy, resentment, or anger strong enough to take her life. It is said that we only truly know a few people in our lives. Taylor's best friend had walked beside her through so many experiences, seen her at her most vulnerable, and shared in her happiest moments. That's what made the coming betrayal so incomprehensible. A friendship that had been a source of joy and comfort for Taylor was about to become the very mechanism of her undoing. The trust she placed in her friend, so complete, so absolute, would become tragically fatal. The story of their friendship is both heartwarming and heartbreaking. It reminds us of the beauty of human connection, but also the chilling reality that even the people we love most can harbor dangerous intentions. In Taylor's case, a bond that had once seemed unbreakable would end in the most shocking way imaginable, leaving a community stunned, a family devastated, and a question lingering in everyone's mind: how well do we truly know those we call our closest friends? The day that would change everything for Taylor Wright started like any other. The morning seemed ordinary, uneventful, with no signs that tragedy was looming just hours away. Taylor went about her routine, waking up, getting ready, and perhaps sharing a few casual messages with her best friend, never imagining that the person she trusted most would turn her day into a nightmare. Friends and family later recounted that Taylor was excited for small plans she had that day. Maybe it was a coffee with a friend, a visit to the park, or just a casual hangout. Little did anyone know, these seemingly mundane plans were orchestrated by her best friend as part of a chilling, calculated act. The best friend had been waiting, watching, and planning. The betrayal was not impulsive, it was deliberate, methodical, and horrifyingly premeditated. She knew Taylor's schedule, her routines, and the small details of her life that most people would never think about. That knowledge, built on years of shared trust, became a weapon. Witnesses later revealed glimpses of the day: Taylor walking confidently, unaware of the danger, laughing, chatting with friends, completely blind to the storm heading her way. Every step she took was a step closer to her unimaginable fate. The contrast between the normalcy of the day and the horror that would unfold was stark, almost surreal. Then came the moments that no one could forget. Taylor's last interactions, her messages, her smiles, all innocent, all ordinary. But behind the scenes, the dark plan was unfolding. The person she had confided in, the person she had considered family, made their move. The betrayal was swift, leaving no room for escape, no chance for Taylor to comprehend what was happening until it was too late. It's almost impossible to imagine the shock of the day. One moment, Taylor was alive, sharing her life with the people she loved. The next, everything changed. The ordinary day had transformed into a crime scene, a place that would forever haunt those who knew her. Friends who had seen her just hours before couldn't reconcile the cheerful, vibrant girl they had interacted with and the devastating news that would soon reach them. The tragedy of that day lies not only in the act itself but in the deception. Taylor's best friend had worn the mask of loyalty and love until the very last moment, using trust as a tool to execute the unthinkable. It was a day that began with laughter and routine and ended in heartbreak, disbelief, and an entire community grappling with the reality that someone they had trusted implicitly could commit such a heinous act. It wasn't long after Taylor Wright failed to return from her day's plans that worry began to ripple through her family and friends. At first, it was a simple concern: she was late, her phone went unanswered, and she hadn't called as she normally would. But as hours passed, that concern turned into dread. Something wasn't right. Family members frantically retraced her steps, calling friends, checking places she was supposed to visit, and trying to piece together a timeline. Her absence, at first puzzling, quickly grew into a terrifying realization that Taylor might be in danger. The warmth and vibrancy that defined her life only amplified the fear in those who loved her, because it seemed impossible that anything could harm someone so full of life. Then came the moment that would shatter any remaining sense of safety. Authorities were contacted, and the search for Taylor began in earnest. Police, detectives, and community members combed through locations she was known to frequent, hoping against hope that they would find her safe and unharmed. The tension was unbearable, every minute stretched endlessly, filled with a growing sense of doom. And then, the unthinkable happened. Taylor's body was discovered. The shock reverberated immediately through everyone who knew her. Neighbors, friends, and family were stunned. How could someone so full of life be gone? How could a bond so strong be the very cause of her demise? The scene of the discovery was haunting, a grim testament to the betrayal that had taken place. Authorities quickly began to piece together what had happened. Evidence at the scene told a story that no one could have predicted: the person Taylor trusted most, her best friend, had been involved. The betrayal was not only shocking, it was incomprehensible. How could someone so close, someone who shared her laughter and secrets, be capable of something so cruel? News of Taylor's death spread rapidly, leaving a community in mourning. Her friends struggled to reconcile the memories of her happy, vibrant life with the brutal reality of her death. Family members were left grappling with grief, anger, and disbelief, wondering how trust could be weaponized in such a devastating way. The shocking discovery of Taylor Wright's death was more than just a moment, it was a turning point. It was the moment when a loving, ordinary life collided with unimaginable betrayal, leaving an indelible mark on everyone who knew her. It was the moment that transformed a story of friendship into a chilling tale of deceit, betrayal, and murder. As the investigation into Taylor Wright's death unfolded, one question dominated everyone's mind: why? How could someone so close, someone she trusted with her deepest secrets, commit such an unthinkable act? Unraveling the motive behind this shocking betrayal became the central focus for detectives, the media, and the grieving community. Initially, nothing seemed to make sense. Taylor's best friend had always presented a cheerful, supportive persona. To outsiders, she appeared loyal, caring, and devoted. Friends and family couldn't reconcile the kindness they had witnessed with the cruelty of the murder. But as investigators dug deeper, layers of jealousy, resentment, and obsession began to emerge. It turned out that the friendship, which Taylor had cherished, had a hidden side. The best friend felt overshadowed, left behind, or perhaps envious of Taylor's successes, her popularity, or the attention she received from others. What had started as a close bond slowly morphed into simmering resentment, feelings that Taylor, unaware of the tension, could never have anticipated. Evidence revealed a pattern of manipulation and psychological control. The best friend had meticulously planned each step, using the trust Taylor had placed in her as a means to orchestrate the crime. It was a premeditated act, driven by a combination of envy, insecurity, and a desire for control. In her mind, betrayal seemed justified, a distorted perception of reality that ultimately led to a tragic outcome. Investigators also discovered communications and interactions that hinted at growing tension in the weeks leading up to the murder. Arguments that seemed trivial, subtle digs disguised as jokes, and moments of passive aggression all pointed to a toxic dynamic hidden beneath the veneer of friendship. Taylor, trusting and kind, had no reason to see the danger lurking in someone she considered her closest ally. The motive, when fully revealed, painted a chilling picture. This was not a spontaneous act of violence, it was calculated, deliberate, and emotionally fueled. The best friend had allowed jealousy and anger to fester, ultimately transforming a bond of love and trust into a lethal weapon. It was a stark reminder of how human emotions, when unchecked, can lead to devastating consequences. In the end, understanding the motive doesn't lessen the horror, it amplifies it. The tragedy of Taylor Wright's death wasn't just that a life was taken, but that it was taken by someone who had been given access to her most intimate thoughts and moments. It's a story that serves as a grim warning. Sometimes, the greatest threats come from the people we trust the most. After the shocking discovery of Taylor Wright's death, law enforcement immediately launched a full-scale investigation. Every detail, every interaction, every piece of evidence was meticulously examined. Detectives knew that in cases where the perpetrator is someone close to the victim, the smallest clue can unravel the entire truth. And in Taylor's case, the focus quickly turned to the one person everyone least expected, her best friend. Investigators began retracing Taylor's last movements with painstaking detail. Security footage, witness statements, and digital communications became crucial pieces of the puzzle. Every text message, social media interaction, and phone call was analyzed to reconstruct the timeline of that fateful day. Slowly, patterns emerged, patterns that suggested deception, secrecy, and premeditation. The detectives also spoke with friends, classmates, and family members, piecing together the nature of Taylor's relationship with her best friend. At first, people were hesitant to suspect someone so close, but inconsistencies in stories, odd behaviors, and subtle clues began to point in one terrifying direction. The very friendship that had been celebrated now became the focal point of suspicion. Physical evidence further strengthened the case. Forensic analysis revealed details that were impossible to ignore, traces of activity that contradicted alibis, fingerprints, and other critical indicators that tied the crime to someone in Taylor's inner circle. Every lead was followed, and the walls of secrecy around the friendship slowly began to crumble. Finally, after days of intensive investigation, the authorities moved in. Taylor's best friend, who had so carefully maintained a facade of innocence, was arrested. The news shocked the community and even those who had suspected the truth. Seeing someone who had been so close to Taylor in handcuffs was a chilling reminder of how trust can be weaponized. The arrest didn't just bring relief, it also brought a flood of questions. How long had the plan been in motion? What had Taylor's friend thought about while executing such a horrifying betrayal? And most importantly, how could anyone live with themselves after taking the life of someone they claimed to love like a sister? The investigation and arrest marked a turning point in the case. It transformed the tragedy from a mysterious death into a story of calculated betrayal and justice in motion. The detectives' relentless pursuit of the truth ensured that Taylor's story would not end in silence. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, careful investigation, persistence, and attention to detail can uncover the unimaginable, holding those responsible accountable for their actions. The arrest of Taylor Wright's best friend brought a sense of relief to her family and the community, but it was only the beginning of a long, painful journey toward justice. The shock of the betrayal lingered like a heavy shadow, as friends and loved ones struggled to process that someone so trusted could commit such a horrific act. Grief and anger mixed with disbelief, leaving an entire community grappling with the unthinkable. In the weeks and months that followed, the legal process unfolded. The trial was highly publicized, drawing attention from the media and local residents alike. prosecutors meticulously presented evidence, painting a detailed picture of premeditation, jealousy, and betrayal. Every piece of forensic evidence, every witness statement, and every communication between Taylor and her friend was scrutinized, revealing the extent of the deception and the calculated nature of the crime. Taylor's family faced unimaginable pain as they watched the proceedings. For them, the courtroom became a place to witness the truth of their daughter's final moments, a place to confront the person who had shattered their lives. They spoke about her kindness, her laughter, and the dreams she had yet to fulfill, reminding the court and the community of the bright life that was cruelly cut short. Their courage and determination helped ensure that Taylor's story was heard and that justice would not be denied. When the verdict was finally delivered, it marked a moment of both closure and continued sorrow. The best friend was found guilty, a judgment that confirmed the premeditated betrayal that had shocked everyone who knew Taylor. While no sentence could ever truly replace the life lost or erase the trauma inflicted, it served as a crucial reminder that actions have consequences and that justice, even when delayed, can prevail. The aftermath of Taylor's murder rippled far beyond the courtroom. Friends reevaluated their own relationships, families questioned the trust they placed in loved ones, and the community came together in mourning and remembrance. Memorials, vigils, and tributes celebrated Taylor's life, ensuring that she would not be remembered solely for her tragic death but also for the joy and love she had brought into the world. Ultimately, the story of Taylor Wright is a cautionary tale about trust, betrayal, and the fragility of human connections. It is a reminder of the profound impact one person can have on the lives of others, for better or worse. Though her life was stolen, Taylor's memory continues to inspire reflection, vigilance, and the enduring hope that even in the face of unimaginable betrayal, justice can be served, and the legacy of those we love can live on.